My father is a small business owner with a company that relied on custom software. I saw how expensive it was to develop this, and I was stressed about the cost of maintenance long term. So I learned how to code pretty well. In my career, I've had roles with increasing complexity, and this requires grounded awareness of software engineering complexity and the relationship with business goals. My father has been doing a lot of coding himself, and asking for support from vendors, which has taken more time and cost more money than it would have to hire me a decade ago. And instead of correcting this, it's mostly been avoided. And when I try to make videos that describe the skills that I'm seeking to get hired for, I've often been interrupted. So I've tried working on projects, and when those were in production, they were dismantled multiple times. Then I focused on networking and had conversations with people who were hiring. And in the middle of those conversations, I was interrupted because they happened late at night, like around 10 or 11 p.m. While this has been frustrating, I have been able to upskill. I've been staying on top of AI news, learning how the different models interact with an ecosystem that I can observe, and exploring the meaning of software stability in a modern context. Now, it makes more sense for business owners to use AI than it does for them to use my father's software. And I have developed software that has been useful in modern contexts. Though towards that, familiarity turns out to be pretty important. And one way to encourage the development of familiarity is to have an art style that people want to engage with. So I've been developing art that could be useful for illustrations for books and websites. In a separate thread, I've been developing a language meant to help me navigate my thoughts. I suppose language generally helps navigate thoughts. This language was developed in response to school as a result of education. My major in college was learning and education studies with a concentration in applied learning science. So the language I've been developing has been an attempt to crystallize what I've learned. Effectively, it is a recursive learning system. I can't always make videos while the TV isn't on, or with the trust that I won't be interrupted. Keeping up with AI and losing years of work has been expensive, and I haven't been able to afford a phone consistently. I don't agree with my father's priorities, and I often feel sad and frustrated by them. Reflecting on this as the only son on Easter, the only son of my parents, I can reflect on the sacrifices that others have made and how that's made it possible to exist in the ways that we have. And I can reflect on meaning and how it can possibly be shared. The work that I've been doing more recently has been towards intergenerational media literacy, which is very near and dear to my heart. And with this in mind, I'm applying to work at Obsidian because I like their product, I like their values, and I believe describing why I want to work for Obsidian, even if I don't end up getting hired, I believe it's worthwhile. Today, I'm exploring more features of the app, and I'm curious if I can associate the actions, like the commands in the app, with constructs in Swoop. Swoop is the language I've been developing. Yesterday, I read through a bit of the documentation and explored the plugin ecosystem and came up with a few plans to develop the workbench around Swoop towards Obsidian. I'm particularly curious where interface design and linguistics intersect in the context of Obsidian, towards the design philosophy. I wonder how many bespoke workflows around Obsidian end up working out to be mini DSLs, domain-specific languages. Navigating the cognitive load of technology can be exhausting, and it can result in burnout if not moderated. So I'm curious about developing interfaces that make it easier for generations of developers to flourish. So that's what I prioritize as I look for the next team to join. I have more development planned for today, and a lot of research and learning to still do. It seems like developing plugins and blogs would be a good idea in the short term, and I'd like to officially submit an application by the end of today or at the start of tomorrow. Cheers!